So tell you what, let's talk a little bit about we are actually at a new business here in Beltrami County.
Did I give out any free money for those?
I don't. Did you get any COVID money or anything like that for this?
No, because I started too late.
Shoot.
Should have started the year before.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about that a little bit. So John, we all know he's a spray pilot. He was working for another business here, local business here. That's kind of how he actually got his start. He was, why don't you tell me about being the loader person and how you kind of worked your way up to the top?
They call you the loader B word because you are the bottom of the totem pole. You get to stand over there in one of those, just a station just like that, and mix chemicals, and you get to load them in the airplane and put gas in the airplane, get lunch for the pilot. I mean...
So were you in high school when you started?
I was. I must have been 16, I suppose. Yeah, something like that.
So you started as the loader man, as they call him. So your job was to have all the chemical in that round mixing cone. The plane comes up and you very quickly would hook the water hose up to the plane, turn the pump on, maybe not the right order here. Make sure you get all the right chemical in the plane, just the right amount of water, so that pilot can stay in there and stay efficient. So the plane can keep moving. You're not making any money when that plane's not moving.
You don't make money unless the plane's going across the field with the money handle forward.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the plane. What are we looking at here?
Well,
What's the business called?
Well, that was Pine Ridge Air Spray that I worked for, and now that I bought the company, it is now Meadow Creek Aerial Application.
Could you get it any longer?
Well, you know,
Could we throw a couple more words at the end?
You know, if you look at a check blank and you look at all the room they give you on the pay to,
That's a good point.
you use it all. That way you get your money's worth out of every check.
So tell me about that name. Where's that name come from?
Well, the name come from, I don't know if you can see over this way. It kind of drops off pretty hard right there. There's actually a creek that runs right through there, and that is actually Meadow Creek that runs through there. So that's where the name came from.
So you've really put Meadow Creek on the map.
I have.
Okay.
It hasn't been really on the map until now. And
Okay.
now it's right here.
Huh. So tell me a little more about where he is right here. Where are we?
We are, section 6 of Shooks Township, which is about 4 miles west of Kellier and a mile south. So if you know where the rock quarry is at in Kellier, that is right over this way about half a mile. So we're just to the southeast of the rock quarry.
So what about this property? You own this property, or whose property are we on?
I do. It was my grandpa Jeff's dad Henry's property. He was gracious enough to sell me 5 acres here to put my buildings on and keep all my stuff on. He didn't want the liability problems. It was probably more the problem, but so I do own this 5 acres. This is on the back side of Grandpa's farm. My house is right over here. There's a 40 acres between my 40 and where we're standing right now.
So we've got the plane. What's a good day's spray? How many acres is a good day?
My personal best is between 21 and 2200 acres. A lot of days 15 to 1800 acres, and then there's some days you only get 1,000 acres when you spray fields like my dad farms here, that there's not a straight side on it. There's a runway going kitty corner through the middle of it.
So let's talk about that for a second. So I know last fall you actually personally built this runway, borrowed some equipment, some laser guided excavation equipment, and you actually did all that work, cut your dad's field in half, so now he's got 2 really nice triangles, which are I think every farmer's favorite shape.
Yeah.
So 2,200 acres, that's a lot of acres. That's a whole bunch more than I can do with my little spray coop. Even though I've got a 50-foot boom just like you, I'm going about 5. And you're going about what?
110, give or take, depending. You get a good tailwind, you can get going up to 130, 135 across the field, but then you go slower going the other way. So
Averages out just fine then.
yeah,
So you're spraying at, say, an average of 110, right?
yeah.
So if you're going from this airstrip to a field 20 miles away, how fast are you going then?
About 110 to 115, so not much faster. It's still a pretty slow ride overall. I mean, you go in the ground rig, you go 20 miles. It's going to take you a while to get there. It takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get there.
So one thing you don't have to worry about is the throttle. You just push that thing to the top and
You just
you just drive.
go.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. And all you really, I'm guessing there's a lot to worry about when you're up there. You're watching a lot of different things.
Well, you push forward, stuff gets bigger, you pull back, stuff gets smaller. In between, don't hit anything.
Seems
So
easy. So how many gallons you put in that tank, and when you spray, how many gallons of water are you putting on a typical acre?
that tank holds 300 gallons, but there's not been very many days that it's been nice enough to actually fill it all the way up to the lid. So, I mean, average, anywhere between 200 and 250, depending on the field size we're looking at and how crooked it is and how many times I have to turn around. We're putting on 3 gallons of water most of the time. We get down to some of the bug juice, we can run 2 gallons. There's not much we have to run 5 gallons with anymore. It's all labeled good for aerial applicators to run 3 gallons of water.
Let's talk about your setup here. I know this isn't your permanent setup, but so I see we got a tank over here for something. We've got an enclosed trailer over here with something. We got some water tanks. What do we got for a setup here?
Well, this is just kind of a temporary setup. We got a couple water tanks out here to hold for bulk storage of water for right now. I'll have to haul water yet, so I don't have a well here right now. There's a 1,000-gallon gas barrel inside the trailer, so that stays out of the sun. There's a 2,000-gallon gas barrel over here that when I do get my new hangar up, it will be inside, and that'll be my main gas barrel. And other than that, we got basically a deck here built with the mix cone and the pump, and it keeps a little nicer working area for my loader man.
So you talked about a shed, so let's get to that in just a second. But I see a mostly finished building back here. I was actually here a little bit when this construction project was going on. It looked to me like that was an absolute top-notch construction crew that you had here. Tell me how this project went.
Well, the project went fairly good. I mean, we pretty much put the whole thing up in 2 weekends. My construction crew didn't really want to work during the week. They like to go to the lake, during the week when nobody's around. But we got her done in pretty much 2 weekends. A little bit left we have to do. We changed some plans and decided to put, it was going to be wide open in the back, but we decided that we were going to put some tin on the back wall, so we had to order more tin, and that finally just showed up, so we got to work on getting that on, but we're not quite there yet.
So this is your temporary situation here, and it works good. You can get it back there. You can get your plane out of the elements, which is what you were looking to do with this, right? So what does this look like next year? If I'm standing right here, what am I standing?
Well, you're going to be standing almost in the middle of the hangar. Well, the middle might be over here a little bit farther, but we're looking at the chemical setup over here isn't too far off where it's going to be. It might be up here a little bit more where the pickup is at. Airplane will be sitting right here. Drive in, turn around, load right inside. Big building. I mean,
what
over twice the size of that building. Probably
what kind of dimensions are we looking at?
We're looking at 72 feet deep and 84 feet wide with a 60-foot door on the end. So,
whew, I like it.
Are you paying for it?
Maybe we can start a GoFundMe. I don't know. I don't know how those work. So one thing I kind of noticed, we've got this propeller here. So we got a single engine, prop plane. But then I see this little guy down here. So when you get up to altitude, do you turn this one off and then just go with this
Yeah,
one?
it's a lot more fuel efficient when you run the smaller propeller that way.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, once
No,
you get
but
off
seriously,
the ground,
what is that thing?
that is the spray pump, and it is a wind-driven spray pump. There's an electric brake on it to stop it, so and there's no chemical or water in it. It doesn't sit there and spin and wreck the seals, but there's a little switch in there on the stick, and you flip that on, that'll start spinning, and you got spray pressure.
How much pressure do you run in the booms?
Typically about 35 pounds. It'll vary. This airplane has flow control on it, so you get going 135 across the field going one way, it might bump up to 45, 50. If you're going the other way, it might drop down to 30 or so, but usually it should run about that 35 pounds, between 35 and 40 pounds.
So are you under FAA regulations as far as maintenance plans and things like that?
Yes, I am. We're egg guys are a little bit different. We get a different classification in the FAA's eyes, which works good for us. We're part 137, so we have a lot of. We're kind of like the farmers of the air. We get all the breaks, and we still have to do the maintenance and everything else, 100-hour inspections and annuals and everything like that. But
Do you have to have an annual physical?
yes, you have to have a physical once a year. And
How often do you have to have maintenance done, and what do they do?
well, every 100 hours, I make them change the oil. They change the filter, cut the filter open, check for metal that's the engine's making, and then they come around here and they look right in all these fins right here, because they'll actually start cracking right here, and you'll end up blowing a cylinder. It'll just pop it out some, and then you have no compression on that cylinder. So they take a mirror and they look at this side and they look all the way around the back side and make sure there's no cracks starting every 100 hours. And
So I'm sitting here counting. Is that 9?
that is 9 cylinders.
Okay. Seems like why do 9? But I guess that must be just the way it worked out.
That's all they could fit on there. If they
Yeah.
could fit 10, they would have put 10.
Okay. And you're burning avgas. You're not burning jet fuel.
Yep, that's 100 low lead avgas.
So I know that you see biplanes and you see single wing spray planes. What are the advantages of a biplane versus a single wing aircraft?
Well, a single wing's going to fly faster. Biplane has got better maneuverability, better stick response when you're down in the trees. It flies slower, so you're getting into small fields. Sometimes going a little slower doesn't hurt. I mean, you talk about a single wing, you're going 150 miles an hour, you're going across the field. It takes less time to get from one side to the other in a small field.
But can you climb as fast when you get to the end of the field with a single wing?
That's an iffy question.
Iffy?
Yeah. I've
Well,
never
have you
flown,
ever-
I've
have
never
you ever
flown
fl-
one.
Okay.
So that's
So I know you went to school down in Georgia, I believe it was, or the Georgia-Florida line, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's a band named after that.
there is. There were actually only a couple towns over too.
Okay. Did you go see them?
I did not.
Okay. What were you flying there?
We flew Catabrias, and then that was our most
How
of our.
about what, biplane or
That was
single?
a single wing.
Okay.
Real small training airplane until we got the 200 hours. Then we flew a Pawnee, which is a small spray plane, single wing spray plane. We did end up flying an AgCat, a 450 model. This has got a 600 horse engine on it, so we got a little more power here. But it was actually they call it a dual hole, so it had the cockpit, but then it had another place for a passenger where the hopper is instead of having a hopper. So we actually got training in
So
an
that's
AgCat.
where your
when we were down
instructor
there.
sat?
Yep. So that was
Your instructor, is he a nervous person?
surprisingly no. Yeah, you wouldn't catch me flying with somebody else that didn't know what they were doing.
Did they have their own controls though?
Some. They weren't a complete set of controls. They were kind of you could fly the airplane, but you didn't have all complete control. But yeah, no, it was an interesting airplane.
So anyway, it's a nice day, and we have got, sit down folks, we've got a real special treat for you today.